This is a quick tutorial on algebra as it applies to physics. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what we do in algebra. The trick to algebra is to wind up with what you are trying to figure out on the left side of your equation and what you know on the right side of the equation. You're going to be given formulas that have various values, various variables in them, and the idea is there should only be one variable that you're trying to find. All the other variables should be values that you know. And if there are any variables that you don't know, or don't know the values, then you should be able to find other formulas that will give you those values. So here are the steps. First one is you want to aim to put what you're looking for on the left side of the equal sign and what you already know, values you already have on the right side. Generally speaking, using bedness backwards is the ideal way to do things. So you would start with addition and subtraction, reversing those, and then you would go to multiplication and division, reversing those, whichever order is most logical, and then exponents and brackets. But we'll show you how that works in a few minutes. Always simplify it one step at a time. You're always tempted to take shortcuts, and it's okay to take shortcuts if you know exactly what you're doing. But to start off, definitely just take one step at a time. Two big rules that are required. Always do the same thing to the whole side of the equation. And you'll see that in a couple minutes. And finally, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side as well. So, here's an example, and just as a side note, Mathematics has a great Algebra Primer playlist. Go to that channel on YouTube. Okay, so here we've got an equation. On the left side we have zx plus 5 divided by 4. On the right side we have 3y squared minus xy plus 5 divided by 4. And that so the equal sign in between these two means that the left side is the same thing as the right side, just expressed differently. So here's how we're going to solve this. First thing we're going to do is look at, we want to get x on one side because it's asking us to solve for x. So the idea is to find all the x terms and figure out how to get them on the left side and then get x by itself. The first step is to look at what's being done to both sides. Now you'll notice that both sides, the whole side is being divided by 4. That's on both sides. If both sides are being divided by 4, then you can multiply both sides by 4 and just eliminate that line. So here's our first step. Zx plus 5 equals 3y squared minus xy plus 5. So we've taken out the two 4's on both sides because they're being done to both sides, and you can reverse that. Next line, we're adding 5 to both sides. If we were only adding 5 to one side, we'd be able to do this too. The trick is here, if they're adding to both sides, then we subtract from both sides. So we're just going to add a minus 5 here and a minus 5 over here, which leaves us with zx equals 3y squared minus xy. If one side didn't have the 5, say the right side didn't have the 5, then we would still subtract 5 and we'd end up with something that looked like this. 3y squared minus xy minus 5. But that's not the case, so we're left with 3y squared minus xy. Now it gets a little more complicated because there's nothing obvious except that we have x's on both sides of the equation. So our next step is to get the x's to one side. We're subtracting xy here. To reverse subtraction of xy, we add xy. Let's try that again. And if we're doing that, then we have to add it at the other side. I'm going to do it backwards over here so it fits. So now on the left side, we're going to have xy plus zx equals 3y squared. Because the minus xy and the plus xy are going to cancel each other out, and that disappears. Now, again, we're still trying to get x by itself. So if you look here, we've got an x term here, and we've got an x term here, and then we've got to somehow get rid of that y and that z. but they're both involved with an x. So we have to get rid of them kind of together. Easiest way to do this, if both terms are multiplied by x, then we can divide an x out by factoring. So we can say x times y plus z equals, and we don't have to do that to the other side because factoring x out of 3y squared doesn't change it. Finally, again, we're trying to get x by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by y plus z, so we're going to divide that by y plus z. Which means we have to divide it by y plus z on the other side. And that's going to leave us with an x on the left, because we divided y plus z by y plus z, and it's going to leave us with 3y squared over y plus z. So a quick recap. The point of algebra is to get what you want on the left, so your unknown, and on the right, only values that you know. Once you do that, you can plug those values in, do the calculation, and get your answer. Good luck.